Good morning. Happy Monday. It's Pastor Eva. Wanted to come and encourage somebody with this word that God gave me, this has been giving me over the last 3 or 4 weeks. A prepared place. A prepared place. When we hear John 14:3, so often we just reduce it to being this place that we go when we die, when we've laid down this physical shell. John 14:3 says that I go and to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may be also, right? Jesus said this before Calvary, right? And sometimes that prepared place is not just about heaven from a standpoint that I can only get there when I die. But Jesus is preparing a place, and it has gone before us to allow us to reach different levels of consciousness, and actually higher levels of consciousness, that we're able to ascend more into a higher state. When you think about when they last saw Jesus, he was ascending. And if you think about that from a metaphysical standpoint or a dual meaning standpoint, that ascending spiritually, ascending and climbing levels of awareness, right? So God is always going before us. And even from a spiritual perspective, so as above, so below. So even when we think about this physical dimension, God is always going before us. So if God is always going before us, that means there are some things that we don't even know about that God is preparing for us. And so often we get rejected in some areas, or we look around and we get worried what's going on. If God is preparing a place for me, there's nothing anybody in heaven or hell can do about it. If God is preparing a place for me, when you know that God is preparing a place for you, there's some things you're just not going to worry about. There's some things you're not going to allow your mind to ruminate over, because God is preparing a place for you. And I think about my life time and time again. God has proven that his ways and his plans for my life supersede mine on every level. And so I know that there's some prayers that I don't even know how to pray today. There's some languages and words that I don't even know how to pray for, because my conscious awareness is not even there yet, right? But Jesus went to prepare a place so that I can step into higher levels of consciousness, right? So that I can explore more of the power that is within me. But God is also preparing a place that I don't even understand that I even need in this moment. I don't even know how to pray, because I don't even have awareness of that concept. And so as we reach higher levels of consciousness, when we think about Jesus, when they last saw Jesus, he was ascending. And so if you think about that from a metaphysical standpoint, us ascending to newer levels of consciousness, ascending spiritually, that God is preparing a place for us. God is always there, and we're stepping up higher into God, right? And it's our choice of how we choose to meditate, how we choose to pray, what we allow our minds to focus on. But there's some things you shouldn't even be worried about, because guess what? God is preparing a place, and that all is well. When you really believe and know and have faith that God is preparing a place, all is well. So I wanted to encourage somebody this morning, because you need to see some of these scriptures in a different light, and don't just reduce things to being, well, I'm going to get that when I pass away. I'm going to get that when I die. No, God has prepared a place for us right here on this side, and we can reach some new levels of consciousness, but it requires us to go into the inner chambers of our soul, to meditate and to pray and to seek God's face, and sometimes tune out the things that are coming to us, this indistinct chatter that is just filling our ears, and hear what God has to say to us. Sometimes I'm being called to a place where I'm not even reading spiritual books at the moment. I'm not even really listening to the spiritual podcasts that I love. And I'm listening to instrumental music so that I can hear what God has for me to release by way of my power center, right, into the physical dimension. I am wanting to tap in directly to source to hear what God has to say to me, and where God needs me to be. But because when I do that, I know all is well. I'm intent on connecting to God, because I realize God goes before me, and God knows what's best for me. God knows what is best for me. And so I want to encourage you this morning to remember that Jesus prepares a place for you. But that prepared place is more than about a place when you die. Jesus said, in my Father's house, there are many mansions, many rooms. Many levels. There's many levels to this, right? There's enough space. God is progressive and expansive. And so I want to encourage somebody today, because this message will reach who it needs to reach. And for those that it just seems weird, just keep on scrolling. But the person that this message is meant for, if you would type in the chat that you got it and share it with somebody. This has been Pastor Eva of the Firm Foundation Church right here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm trusting and believing and knowing that God is preparing a place for you. So as you go out today in the world, know that there is a prepared place for you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.